All right, let's bring in Tristan from Texas. Pronouns are he, him. And what did you want to talk about today?
Hey, I've been thinking about this a while after listening to Matt Dillon talk about like activism, going out and talking to people and trying to, fix the world, right? But
Okay.
what if we can't fix or change enough lives? What if you can't? What if we can't achieve what we're trying to before we run into an issue that isn't just reversible, right? Climate change.
Well, let me. I guess I have to cut you off real fast because I'm kind of wanted to understand like end goal wise, because it seems like the way I'm interpreting it is like you're saying there has to be X amount of change for you to like see some progress, whereas I'm somebody immediately is just going to tell you any incremental amount of change, whether it's one person or even a person just contemplating the matter, that's success to me. Because I think anybody that comes from that side, that was the seed that planted them to get to the other side, right? So I'm curious if you're saying like on an end goal at looking at like most people being on a certain side as opposed to the incremental amount of change going towards that goal.
It's not that, because I was one of those people that was changed and convinced just slowly over time, right? But like we are looking at things, or we're looking at like the world's like heating up, right? Climate change is happening, and we see issues with like Germany right now just shut down all of its nuclear power plants, right? And it caused a lot of issues in which it wasn't necessarily beneficial. And if we don't necessarily like change our course at a high enough frequency, I fear that we may set ourselves on an irreversible path if we don't change enough people to understand that our world matters, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna let JC give his wisdom here.
Yeah,
Thai's wisdom. I don't want to say like that. I think I don't know. I guess there's like for me. I'm thinking that there's like this ability that would require some kind of force rather than like genuine consideration of the facts and coming to a conclusion. But I'll let JC take it from there.
Yeah, Tristan, you haven't said anything that I disagree with. The only thing I would say is you possibly might be right, but the idea that we could try and it might not do enough good is not reason enough to not try. So you might be right.
Sorry,
it might be
misunderstanding. I'm not saying that we shouldn't try, but what do we like? Is there anything else we can do that would be of note? If like in this case, right? If we can't, change the course correctly, is there anything else we could do? Because I don't think we should not do it by any means. But what if it's just not enough?
Well, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
There's going to be a lot of not enoughs. There have been a lot in history, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a few more not enoughs, and they're going to happen. They're going to happen. So, and then that might sound bleak, but it is. I mean, it's you just have to do what you can do, the most you can do, and then not get hung up on everybody else.
Yeah, well, Tristan, let me just add too. It's like, what's the alternative, right? Kick rocks. You just said you don't. That's not what you're advocating for, and I think that's. I don't think that I would interpret that, but it does seem that, right, to get to how you would know, right, like science, anything else where you're constantly revising or falsifying certain ideas, right, you're going to have to come to these humps and these speed bumps where it might not work or it might not be the best way, but you're not going to know unless you can falsify the prior attempt, right? You're going to have to actually progress. I mean, that's what progression entails, is some form of understanding what didn't work.
Well, the issue I find is even if we falsify and show that everything we're trying to achieve is right, there is a significant portion of our population that will refuse it in spite of the evidence we show.
Well, I mean, is your goal that everybody should believe it?
Well, no, my goal is that everyone should not deny evident reality.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We should promote critical thinking as well as best as possible. But a part of that process is listening to the other side on the view that they have, and not, begging the question that the view you take is the right one, because along the path you should correct views that you have as well, or else I don't think you're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that process
just show evidence and reasoning for our thoughts, then even if we're not necessarily right all the way down the road, we are right at the moment based on our current evidence.
Well, let me ask you this, right?
This
is kind of how I'm thinking of it. Like, if someone comes up to me and they say like something like science doesn't work, right? And they have this like delusional belief, and they also kind of tandem to that deny scientific discovery. They don't think like novel predictions are useful, right? Generating predictions. They don't think any of that stuff's useful. But then they tell you like that whatever it is they believe in, right? Wouldn't the best process in that to have the discussion and go, okay, well, let me see how your epistemology works. How do you come to knowledge? And in the talk of the conversation, from my perspective, if you have that side of like, mine's not right, but let's explore each other's, for me, it's going to be obvious who comes out on top, and the other person's going to have a lot to consider. But then you have the situations where some of those people don't consider it. Well, it doesn't seem like there's anything we can do about those people. So you're never, ever really, you're going to have to try, but it might just be the case that they're determined to always never listen, and maybe by choice. I mean, depending on how you phrase choice, but we need to continue doing the type of work to convince people, or at least have people reconsider theirs. And I think one of the best ways is saying, look, hey, I could be wrong, but let's compare our views. And in this case, the one that's pro-science, pro-vaccines, or pro the things that are backed up, right? It's just going to win out. I guess I'm not seeing what your expectation is that everybody should believe this, or that we should. I guess I'm failing there.
It's not an expectation. It's more so if I have kids and I want my kids to grow up in a world that's not going to end, which I don't necessarily think our world is going to end by any means, but like the idea that I want them to live in a world that's better than mine, yet there are people that are actually fighting against it that I can't change their minds, right? What do we do about these issues, about these people that just will not, for a bad phrase, like essentially get on the bandwagon, right? They will not work with us and will actively fight us. Even
legislation and lobbying, something that I have personally made the mistake of not taking seriously. Something that I personally look back on and go, wow, I talked the talk but didn't walk the walk, right? You have to, but that process of that's how we change things, right? We have to get it in terms of lobbying and legislation against ideas that force some, ideology down, everybody's throat, right? So it's the recognition. It's not just the other party, right? We have to too, because someone like myself, if I don't go out and vote, I don't go do things to change. I can talk all I want, but am I doing anything? Like, there's a lot of parts, I guess, is involved, and you're part of that as well. But I guess I'm worried you're on the pessimistic side of it when I think it shouldn't be. I think we're making a lot of progress.
Okay. I understand that. What do you think the best way to start getting into the lobbying and voting and all that? What would you recommend as the starting point?
That's something myself that I'm trying to gain more knowledge on, people that are into that as well. But Jesus, maybe you have better information than myself.
Yeah, start small, start local. I mean, it could just be as simple as attending your city council meetings and getting to understand your local government, and then work your way up from there. That's it. Simple as that. I would start there. Just be careful not to, you know, upset the government too much, or else they may, you know, I mean, problems could arise.
No, I
Just be
understand.
careful with government. I'm telling you from personal experience. That's all.
Understood. I appreciate all that.
Sure. Is anything else? We're gonna move on to other callers, but I just want to make sure you get any last things you want to say before we go.
Thank you.
All right, Tristan. Well, thank you. Call us again. We'll look forward to it.
Well, you have a wonderful day.
You too. All right. And so, yeah, I think, and maybe people in chat, people, that this is something that it took me a while to really recognize. And that's the importance of critical thinking, is even when you think you've kind of broken down walls, you still get lost in your conspiracy theory. The government's out to get everyone, doesn't make it, no voting doesn't matter, right? You get into that, and there's still self-correction as you go through all this stuff, right? And so it's not just the other people, it's the people on that side as well.
Yeah, I always get a kick out of reading somebody's Twitter bio when they include critical thinker in their Twitter bio, but they also include their astrology sign or
sure,
something like that.
And that's my thing, is maybe that's the prime picture of what critical thinking is. Now demonstrate it to me, because I have a feeling when we have this conversation that won't be successful. And maybe that conversation might add to the back of your head of, I'm going to be less confident the next time I want to boast about astrology to somebody who knows perhaps more than myself, right?